Hey everyone, and welcome to Food Fight this week. My name is Joe.
And I'm Chef Chris.
What's going on? So, Chris, man, I'm looking over at you. You look pretty tired, bro. You okay?
Yeah, it was a busy week, man. How about
Busy
you?
week. Oh, yeah, it was hell week, what I call it. It was like new menu release week, so I'm a bit exhausted right now.
Yeah, sometimes the the stars align and you just get a party after a party after a party after party, and
Is that how it was for you this week?
it was this week we had a big 400-person wedding on Saturday night where it was beautiful, man. They went above and beyond every expectation that you can think of.
Is that when you posted that picture of that beautiful cake that your team did?
The floating cake.
Dude, that
Yeah, it
shit was fucking phenomenal, dude.
hanging from the rafters.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Hanging down. So they did the cake cutting ceremony there. But they went all out on everything from floral to decor. They even got married on the course.
Yeah.
Had the
Now, when
ceremony
people
there.
like have events like that at your establishment, it's like when you see them go all out, it kind of makes you feel like you're doing like a bigger and better job too, right? Like it's like, the more they do and the more it kind of has more like prestige for you, right? You feel good about it.
You do feel good about it, but you also got to remember that every wedding, no matter what they spend and what they do, it's such a special day for them that you really want to make sure that you give everything you've got on that day, because it's going to be a day that they're going to remember forever. And
Yeah, it's a bit different than a restaurant where they're coming to have like a date night on a Friday. It's like you're like building something that's monumental for like the one time in their life. Well, you would hope, you know what I mean?
you hope to be the one time. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
So yeah, it was good. It was a great wedding, and then we followed that up by we unfortunately had a bereavement this weekend as well, so we had to do a 400-person bereavement, and then
oh man.
yeah, so that was on Sunday, and then we followed that up by a golf outing, the Golisano golf outing on Monday, which for dinner, they play in all three courses, Monroe, CCR, and Oak Hill, and about 144 golfers, and then they all come to Oak Hill for dinner. So we had
man.
about 380 for dinner.
So like explain to people out there like what it would take to do like a 400-person wedding followed by another 400-person event, followed by another 400-person event. Like, what does that mean for your crew? What does that mean for you? I mean, is that like sleepless nights? It's like all hands on deck, or do you just have a specific team that like handles these things?
Well, it's interesting you asked. The kitchen is split up. So I have a la carte team. I have a banquet team. I have a garde manger team, which is the cold food preparation.
Throw me some numbers here. How many people do you have employed for the a la carte?
For a la carte, I have about 12.
And then for the banquet?
For the hot banquet kitchen, I have 4.
Okay.
And for the garde manger kitchen, I have 4.
Okay, wow.
So those areas, and then you have pastry, which has 3 cooks,
Okay.
a chef and 2 cooks. And you take all of those departments, and they all come together for one function.
And see, that's your job as the chef, basically to organize and orchestrate the whole disaster.
My job is my job is to plan it, keep it organized. From the details of what we're ordering, I have a purchasing manager who does a great job. He orders all the food, and he calculates all the numbers. So if we're having baby carrots and we're getting 3 baby carrots on each plate, how many cases of baby carrots does that equate to?
That's his job?
That's his job. And if we're getting fillets, he will figure out how many, either if we're going to do tenderloins or we're going to get them pre-cut, how many we have to buy, and he brings them in. And he puts them in the banquet walk-in.
So, like, when you get, like, reservations and, like, pre-orders, does all the information go to him and you, or is it just him, and then he takes care of the purchasing for that, or how does that work?
Are you talking about the restaurant?
No, so say, like, the banquet, say there's, like, 400 fillets. Now, does
Yep.
that number go to you and him, or since he's the purchasing guy, he's the one that's completely in charge of that?
Well, it goes on the BEO, which is the banquet event order.
Okay.
And that's basically the sheet that goes to all the departments.
Got you.
So catering, banquet front of the house, and all the culinary teams are on the same page. They have the same sheet of information.
Wow.
So it'll tell you on that sheet, we have 400 tonight. We need 400 fillets. We need 400 5-ounce sea bass.
So this sounds pretty organized.
It is. We have a great system down. And in my background, I worked in the hotel at the Ritz-Carlton. So what I've done at the club is I've treated the club like a hotel. So we've got our different departments. We've got our systems of communication. And, I'm there making sure that everybody is in the right area. Everybody's got what they need when they need it, making sure that nobody is, My job is basically to go around and make sure that everybody has what they need to be successful.
Right, right. And I think that's the biggest misconception from like the general public to like the restaurant people is like they think the chef is the only guy cooking in the kitchen. Like, oh, did you cook my meal tonight? It's like, unfortunately, I did not cook your meal, but I made sure that they cooked your meal properly. You know what I mean? It's like a huge variance of what real life is compared to what's expected.
It's interesting you say that, and it's that's why it's so important for a chef to have a personal connection. For me, to have a personal connection with my members, because they think that I cooked all the food.
Yeah, yeah.
From chicken finger to the French fries to the steak, and it's not me putting my actual hands on every single dish, but it's me managing the team that does that.
Absolutely. I kind of find it, for me being like just an executive chef at like a standalone restaurant, it's kind of weird for me to hear you talk about like a purchasing manager.
Oh,
It's like, I can't imagine what that life would be. I'd almost feel disconnected if I wasn't the one actually like going through everything and figuring it all out and doing it. But I mean, the operation that you deal with is a lot larger than the operation I deal with. Like I deal with just say 300 covers on a dinner night, not 400 people followed by 400 people followed by whatever. And that's just one moving part. You know what I mean? So I get how like the assistants could really help.
It's a huge responsibility. There was a moment there at the when I was in transition between purchasing managers. I did all the purchasing.
Okay.
And it takes a lot of your time.
Oh yeah, no, it does. I mean, you got a place like us at Nosh. It's like my chef doesn't order 5 days a week. 5 days a week for an hour a day to walk through inventory top to bottom to see what we need and project what we're going to use. And then it's like my sous chef, he takes care of the produce ordering. So between the two of them, they handle all the purchasing for the restaurant. And then basically now, I've stepped away and I just oversee them, what they order, and I check the inventories and make sure that we're not too heavy on things and, stuff like that.
Yeah, I get asked a lot, how do you do it? How do you not run out of food?
Yeah.
And, it's just about, it's like every business, you get to know how much you're going to sell. I think the hardest time is when you write a new menu or you change a new menu because you don't know the history of the sales.
Yeah, like I said, I just got done with Hell Week, man. It's like I just dropped a new menu, and like I separate my menus into like two categories. So like when I do a release, I'll do like the top portion. I call it the top portion. It's like my salads, my appetizers, different things like that. That'll go first. So it's roughly around, 15 to 20 items that I switch. I run that for a week or two.
How many items are total there? It's all 15?
It's about 15.
So you change them all out?
Yeah, change them all out.
Okay.
And then I wait 2 weeks till my staff can get used to the ingredients, the procedures, the logistics of everything. And then I change the bottom half, which I consider like the entrees, the main things. And then from there, that basically jumpstarts the whole chaotic bullshit mess that I'm in today. It's tough because no matter, like, I've done this is like my 8th menu at Nosh in 3 years. Like, I try to change the menu twice a year, and, it's tough. It's because you get so accustomed and so, like seasoned, you can do things like with the back of your hand. You know exactly where you're going, where you're grabbing, how long it takes to cook. You know the ins and outs, like. And then when you change it, there's like nothing. You have no idea. No matter how many times we've like run through the dishes prior to putting on the menu of like testing the timing, the seasoning, the procedures of it. Like when it comes down to being live in a restaurant and having 300 guests there, it all goes out the window. It's a shit show.
Yeah, and I think it's important for the non-chef listeners to understand that, when you go to a restaurant and they're doing a menu change, how big of a deal it is.
Big of a deal is a good way to put it. Like, I've always looked at it like this. Like, since I've opened Nosh, I've tried to change the menu, right? We've already gone over that. But what's scary about it is that, like, throughout that time that menu's running, you have people that come in and create favorites. So they come in, they're like, oh, my God, I love your pork chop. It's amazing. I love this. It's amazing. And then it's like, in 6 months, when I'm like, well, I'm changing the menu, they're like, well, what the hell happened to the pork chop? Like, well, it's gone. Well, why'd you do that? It's my favorite. It's like, well, it's a lot of people's favorite. I'm trying to create new favorites.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because as a chef, it's like we don't want to become stagnant. We don't want to become boring. And as a line cook, you don't want to keep executing the same menu for years on end. Yeah. And that's what we do. I change it because of that reason.
And I think the staff needs to know how good that is that you do that, because you could easily say, we're not changing anything and you're going to be doing the same thing forever.
Right.
And they'll never grow from that.
And, that's fine, dude. There's a lot of restaurants that do that are very successful. It's just not what I wanted to do. That's how I spent my entire career, is doing that exact thing, doing the same menu with running some specials. I don't do specials. I tell people that. I'm like, I don't run specials here. Why? Because I don't want you to think that I'm using up old product. B, I change my menu often enough. I feel like I don't need to present a special to you. The whole menu's special, in fact. It's like if you don't get it in 3 months from now, it's like, it's pretty special. Because how many times are you going to go to a restaurant in 3 months, really? I mean, I don't go to a restaurant more than like twice a year almost. You know what I mean? So like every time you go, it's something different. Well, it's like if you only had one chance to eat it and now it's gone.
But how many times do you go out to restaurants, period?
I don't.
I
don't. I don't.
So for you to hit the same restaurant in 3 months,
but you know, like, you know, the new menu thing, though, is like a huge gamble, though. Because it's like every time I recreate a menu, you're gambling that it's going to suck and it's like you're going to ruin the business. It's like you're restarting a whole new restaurant. Same building, same four walls, but it's like everything's different. The logistics, the timing, the flavors, everything is different. Everything is literally taking a chance that, well, this menu's going to fuck it all up. I'm burying myself on this one. Or, you know, it's going to be better than the last. Yeah. And that's what you hope for. But there's always that, dude. There's so much that weighs on me between, like, the menu creation, the planning, the pricing, the mix of what I hope the customers would want, to being, like, to the execution of it. It weighs on you, man. Like, that's why I said today, I'm like, I feel like this week I've kind of taken a chill pill. It was brutal last week, man. My crew was pushing me to my edges. I mean, either I was going to kill myself.
You were pushing them to the edges.
It was crazy, man. Oh, yeah. I mean, they know that when it comes time for that, it's like, it's serious business. Yeah. We loosen up after a couple of weeks of doing it, but we take it super serious in the beginning.
When I spent some time at Robuchon Vegas, and every time he would come by with his whole crew, they called it Robuchon Week.
Okay.
And that was basically hell week for him. They were all like, okay, you're never going to sleep this week. It's going to be fucking nuts. So it's Robuchon Week. For you, that's what it is. It's Robuchon Week.
Yeah. You know what's messed up is, like, you know, how I do a 2-part release on it. It's like, okay, so if I have a duck quesadilla, normally it goes, you know, 8 minutes, start to finish, okay? I can rely on that time. And we did it for 2 weeks. Everyone did it for 2 weeks, 8 minutes, start to finish. I throw in new entrees, and then all of a sudden it's a 12-minute check, a 13-minute check, an 8-minute check. There's, like, no consistency because everyone's focusing on not messing up the other components of other dishes, where they're forgetting to do the things they should have already known to remember. You know what I mean? But it's tough because you're throwing, just like, you know, a cook, it's like you rely on that secondhand nature of just remembering where everything is, remembering where it goes, and you're taking that all away, and you're
starting fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I mean, that's the whole beauty of cooking is the dance, you know, in the middle of service. When you can close your eyes and you know where everything is, you know where the salt is, you know where the oil is, you know where all your mise is, that's the dance. That's the beauty of the business.
You know, and I think that this might sound really bad, but I became really good at the dance. Why? Because I'm a larger individual. I'm not saying I'm lazy, but I'm a big guy. I like all my movements to have a cause. I don't waste any steps. I don't waste any movements. It's like if you're going to move to the right, you're grabbing something. You're moving to the left, you're also grabbing something.
Every movement.
You're turning around, something better be in your hand when you're going back. So you're not running in circles. You know, it's about efficiencies, especially when you pay people per hour. Every second adds up, especially at the end of the night.
And as a, you know, as a cook, you have to realize that, like, hey, this guy's paying me per hour of my work. The more that I get done and the more efficient I am, the more that he'll want to pay me.
Absolutely, man. When you get those guys that can set up their station and work their station and then also bail out other people because they're behind, and then during service, they paid attention to someone else, even though they didn't have to, and they can jump in and help out. Those are the guys that make it in this industry.
I like to call that they create value.
Sure.
They're creating their value for the team. And if they can create their value, that gives me no choice but to promote them.
Yeah. And, you know, it's good to be good at what you do. We always need the people that are good at just what they do, right? I mean, it's like a board of, or it's a game of chess. There's a pawn, there's a rook, there's a knight, there's a queen, there's a king, blah, blah, blah. But we know that, you know, it's good to have those people like the queens who can move any direction, as many spaces as you need them to be, and then come back. Yep. Those are the ones that are valuable. It doesn't even have to be your chefs. It could be just like your cook 1, cook 2, cook 3. Who cares?
Yeah.
But it's those people who really go above and beyond that make a difference in, like, the chef's life and the restaurant's life, period.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more.
I mean, you know, going back to the whole menu thing, you know, you've done probably thousands of menus in your career. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know, between trying to figure out the pricing and trying to figure out, you know, like where you're going to get your products from, you know, it's like Rochester is a big town of supporting local, and which is a great thing. But like I told you before, I'm not like a huge just farm to table local localist, if you want to call it. Like I like to just buy products that are good.
Yeah.
But you know, there are a few that I like to put on my menu. You know, I use like First Light Creamery out of Bethany, New York. You know, I use Amazing Grains out of Fairport. They do all my breads. They do all my desserts for my restaurant. Like they're awesome. They produce all my hot dog rolls and torta rolls for Old Pueblo Grill. Like I use them. You know, and produce, I mean, I use local produce companies. I also, you know, I have a tomato farm that I grow multiple varieties of heirloom, large varieties and smalls, and we try to grow as much stuff as we can as well. I mean, we don't really taunt that too much at the restaurant because it's not like we're doing it for like a showpiece. We're just doing it because we believe in it.
And because they're really good.
Yeah, they are good tomatoes, but I mean, it's just one product.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, if you focus on just one thing, you tend to do a little bit better than if you focus on like 20 things.
Yes.
And I think that's where we're going with this is each year we're going to progressively expand our farm to being more diverse. We're starting off with tomatoes. I think it's a good market, and there's a lot of cool things to offer. And I'm hoping to be able to offer like heirloom varieties in December. You know, I got full grow lights, fully enclosed indoor greenhouse. We're going to test it out. We're going to see how it's going to go.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. You know, maybe you'll get some.
Looking forward to it.
So, you know, going back to this whole menu thing, are you familiar with how, like, I do things at Nosh? Like, I normally have, what do you call it? Charities that I donate to on my menu, and they're listed on the menu board so people can see, like, okay, listen, if you buy this, some of it's going to this organization.
Yeah. I've seen that. That's great that you do that.
You know, since the beginning, man, I mean, year one, we were a restaurant with no profits, no anything, already buried in debt, and we're still donating to charities because it was like we all picked a charity that was kind of like meant something to us, like all the partners. And so that's how it all kind of got started.
Yeah, didn't you just go through Hell Week and then on your one day off, you went and supported a charity?
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. That's awesome. It's great that you do that.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. You know, I mean, it wasn't like hard labor, but it was like giving up an entire day. And when we get 2 days, it's like, you know, I believe a lot in, what do you call it? CURE, Childhood Cancer Association. Like, they've been a part of our menu since the very beginning.
Yeah.
And, you know, they had an annual bike ride. And so me and my sous chef and a couple friends went. Not my sous chef, he's my chef, actually.
Yeah.
We went and we participated and bought raffle tickets and did whatever we could to help support. And, yeah, it was great, man. You know, and I think that's what it's about. You know, because on a daily, like I said, we donate quarterly to all these charities that we choose on Nosh's menu. And, you know, we give discounts. Like for me, my father is in the military. My mother's a nurse. So I always give a percentage discount to first responders, military veterans, active duty.
That's great.
All that for both restaurants. So Nosh and OPG, we give discounts all the way through.
That's fantastic. They earned it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely they did. But, you know, like you said, you know, I had a busy week. It was a crazy week, but we still find time to do these things. And, you know, it's important for as a chef because what else are we doing here besides trying to create good food, trying to bring together the cooks, the chefs, and the community feeling. You know, we do events, right? I mean, there's a lot of events we do throughout the year. I know I've done a couple events with you, actually, that were for charity.
Yes.
Dish It Out, right?
Dish It Out was one that we did for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
Right, and that's a pretty big event, right? I mean,
it's a nationwide branch that supports finding missing children, and it's a lot deeper than one would think. There's a lot more information that goes on that we don't know about.
And your wife now actually works with them, right?
She does. She helps with the catering events. She helps
cool.
with the charity, the fundraisers.
Now, the Dish It Out event, I did it one time. It was a huge event.
Oh, yeah.
How many people do you think would turn out for that?
I think it was like 500.
Do you remember how much they raised in that one event for like the charity?
I
want to say
tell
something crazy like $100,000 or something.
I would love to say that. I couldn't tell you, but it was definitely a lot. And then we actually got to meet John Walsh.
Yeah, that's pretty cool,
He
man.
was actually
I
there.
grew up watching him on TV, right?
Yeah.
America's Most Wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He so we got a chance to meet him one year. He stopped by because the center was actually started by him.
Okay, now I think that was the first time we'd ever met in person. We had like followed each other on like Instagram
really?
and all that other stuff, and I think that was like the first time we actually met was there at that Missing and Exploited Children event. Dish It Out.
I think so. And then there was another event downtown at the farmers market that we met. You were outside and
Oh yeah,
you were working on a station there.
Food Festival.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, the big event for Food Link at the public market where there's like thousands of people that come.
That's right. Yeah.
I
So
mean, they tell you do like 1,200 pieces of food for these people, and you're like, dude, 1,200 pieces? You don't believe it, and then you get there, you're like, holy shit, like really 1,200 pieces?
I need 1,400.
Last year, I did 900 like portions. So I was like, oh, they're overshooting this. Yeah, I ran out by 7:30.
Oh,
900 pieces by 7:30, like
man.
2 hours, man. It was gone. But it's
just-
like, it's
you
another
just pack
big
up
event.
and turn around and walk away.
No, you know what was good though? For the first time in 3 years, I actually got to go and enjoy it myself. I got to go and go to other stations, see what other restaurants were doing, kind of what they're showcasing, meet some people and faces that I had only like seen, that I was friends with on social media, but never in person.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge, man. I think a lot of these events, I've met some of the best people in this town through these events, and it just shows that like these restaurants and businesses are all partaking in these charities, and it's huge, man. It's great to see that everyone's doing it for a good cause, whether it's your cause or their cause. They're still out there doing it, right?
Absolutely.
And that's huge.
It's definitely huge. You have to give back to the community.
Yeah, man. And we do that a lot. You know what I mean? I try to do that a lot. And I know a lot of people are the same way. But yeah, these events are great. You also did what the Savor event, right?
Yeah, we did the Savor event, for the Rochester Regional Health.
That's really cool. And what about you do stuff with Cure as well, right?
We do with the ACF, the American Culinary Federation in Rochester. We support the Cure Brunch. So we have all the chefs that are in the ACF. Mm-hmm. They go and they put on a brunch to help raise awareness and help raise funds for children with cancer.
Wow, man. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, and it's one thing that I really like about these events is that I like to not only do them, but I like to take my team there with me. And then eventually my team runs these.
Yeah.
So my team will be there with me, and then they'll organize it, they'll plan it. It gives them an opportunity to really be in charge of something and not just kind of say, oh my gosh, I'm giving up my Sunday for this or something like that.
Yeah, you never want that feeling. You want them to be happy about doing it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're kind of working backwards on the whole thing.
Exactly. So I want to give them the ability to, organize and execute these options, these charities.
That's pretty cool. So, like, even though it's just a charity event, it also helps, like, mold, like, your future people who are going to be running your kitchens.
Absolutely.
That's really neat. I never really looked at it that way.
Yeah,
so it kind of gives them a little bit of power and gives them an opportunity to kind of build who they are.
Absolutely. Like, for example, to Dish It Out, I went for a couple of years. I started, the Missing Exploited Children reached out to me, and they wanted me to be a part of it because I guess Oak Hill really never was a huge part of it, so I wanted to be a part of that. I did that for 2 or 3 years, and then I passed the responsibility of coming up with a dish, planning it, and executing to my sous chefs.
Yeah.
And now my sous chefs are doing that with our future sous chefs.
Wow, that's
so it's
pretty
kind of
cool.
like passing the torch along and kind of still maintaining the quality that we want to represent.
And I can vouch for that, man. Any event you guys go to, man, you guys don't pull out anything. I mean, you guys pull it all out. I mean, huge displays. It's like you guys have all the nice shit, man. It's great I always look for Oak Hill because you guys always have like the cool boards and displays and vessels and like, dude, it's pretty badass, man. You guys don't hold back and just say, oh, whatever, who cares? It's like you go like above and beyond every single time.
Yeah, well,
you guys do these things.
I feel like it represents us.
I mean, Chris, I'm serving like a fried wonton in like a paper cup, and you guys are like serving these glass plates with like mini forks and crazy shit. And I'm like, dude, like you're making me look bad, bro.
That's not the point.
It isn't the point.
No, it isn't the point.
No, yeah, it's not
the point. Is to obviously raise money for these charities, but is also to represent. I want my team to realize that just because you're doing this for you're not actually getting paid, you're not actually selling anything, but you got to take pride in everything you do, no matter what it is.
No, and I think that not one single person out there that's ever seen anything you participated in could say anything different than that for you.
I appreciate that, man.
Like
Thank you.
You guys always do an upstanding job. It's impressive.
Oh, thanks, man.
I mean, like we come out there and we just I rely on the food. I rely on the food and just kind of just sling it out there. And it's like sometimes I don't necessarily think the whole thing through like you do, But you guys do an awesome job, man. It's very impressive. And, but like you said, it's important because it's like making your bed in the morning, right? Like you're going there from the beginning to end. You're going to do the best you possibly can with the products you have, the display. It's like you're not making a paycheck, but the bigger event that you creates more in the back end for the charity
Absolutely.
or for the event itself, right? That's awesome, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, like, we were talking about the menu and we are talking about, like, the problems I have to go through logistically. I mean, now, do you guys change the menu, like, often at Oak Hill, or you just run specials, or how does it work for you guys? What's, like, the standard procedure?
So we run specials every day.
Okay.
And unlike most, I could say most restaurants who use leftovers to make specials, we actually buy product in to make specials.
That's cool.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a balance. You have extra pork tenderloin. How can you recreate that pork tenderloin to be something special rather than just saying, well, it's leftover, know? So it's a balance of that, but we run specials every day. We run specials off of each station.
Okay.
So we have the fry station, the entremet station, which is like they do the hot apps and vegetables during service.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
That's a cool word.
I like
Where'd they
it.
teach that to you?
Where?
Yeah, where'd you learn that?
New York City.
Oh, that's cool, man.
So
What, this last weekend, or?
no.
Just
Yeah, you're messing with me. That's an inside joke right there.
Yeah, I know. We'll explain that later.
I've got a new best friend. So
Yeah, he does.
Joe's a little upset with me.
Jealous, but whatever.
Yeah, okay. And then you've got the meat and the fish station. So
Okay.
each station will run a special off of their station every day.
Now, do you help create the specials, or do you allow them to create it with your oversight and just your approval, or how does that work normally for
I
you?
allow the chef de cuisine to
Okay.
create the specials.
Awesome.
And
So
then I
Vinny,
kind of
right?
just spot check them. Yeah, so Vinny's writing the specials.
Okay.
He organizes that with the team, and
That's a talented motherfucker right there, dude.
yeah, man, he's grown a lot, man. I mean, he came to me when he came to me. He was working in bars
Yeah.
and like the distillery or
Yeah.
you know,
Well, he's definitely come a long way since that point, man. I got a lot of respect for that guy.
yeah, he's doing great, and he's actually competing in the San Pellegrino Young Chef competition in the beginning of November. So we're going to be in New York City in the beginning of November. He was one of 10 finalists in
Wow.
the North America.
In North America.
Right. And he's going to compete, and he had to create a dish. He had to write recipes on the dish. He had to take pictures of the dish, and it had to be a dish that he can create from scratch in 5 hours.
Wow.
So when you think of that, like, okay, anybody can cook something in 5 hours, but the attention to detail.
Yeah, but the dish that he's doing isn't something that, like, I could recreate in 5 hours. Like, I look at him like, holy shit. I'm like, what's going on
it's
with this?
got like 30 components to
It's
it.
crazy, man.
And each component takes about an hour. So
Yeah. That's cool, though, because like you just said, he's in charge of writing your specials then.
he is, yeah.
And he's also like a top 10 finalist in North America for his dish.
Yep.
So that's a pretty good, that's a heavy hitter you got going for you then, as far as like watching over the specials and the creativity.
Absolutely. He's doing great. So I'll keep you
awesome.
posted on what happens in November.
Hell
You know?
yeah, man. Maybe I'll even take a drive down there myself.
Oh man, if you could come down, that'd be great.
Yeah. I
more
love supporting your
support.
team, man. They're badasses.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And if he wins, we have to fly to Milan and compete in Milan. So I don't
You
know.
just sound really down and depressed about that. Like, what the hell's going on?
I want to go to
this
Milan.
Sucks. I'm
So
gonna have to go to Milan.
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
Oh man, life sucks.
no, we're gonna make sure that we're gonna set him up for success. So
That's cool. So you run specials. Vinny's in charge of that.
he's in charge of that.
Now, what about your overall menu? Do you have to rehaul that thing at any point in time, or do you just?
No, we created a menu that is a kind of like a steakhouse menu.
Okay.
So you can choose your protein, you can choose your starch, you can choose your veg, or you could go double veg, and then you choose your sauces.
Oh wow. Okay.
So we created that. So we changed the proteins out seasonally. We changed the sauces. We make minor adjustments. We don't,
you don't
change
just change
out.
the whole thing. Yeah.
No, because
It's tough because the members have certain expectations and demands and wants. I'm sure that you can't do that
absolutely
that
you know.
drastically.
And we do have chicken French on
you
the
just
menu.
say doo doo?
We do, we do have we do have chicken French. We do have a chicken parm on the menu. So those are the things. Those are the
Yeah,
things
but I'm
that
sure it's an elevated chicken parm and chicken French. It's not your boring run of the mill.
I mean, we take a lot of pride into
Yeah.
it. And I tell the team, hey, I know you're making chicken parm, but make it the best damn chicken parm
Absolutely.
you can.
And not only that, man, but they have the ability to express themselves through specials, and that's huge because my guys don't have that.
Yeah,
They really don't. They basically cook the menu and they do it every day until they change it.
yeah.
It's tough.
Oh,
It
yeah.
makes them machines, though. I mean, these guys that I have can be very mechanical, which is a good thing. They're very consistent.
Yeah.
But then the days that they're not, it's like all hell breaks loose, and I'm like pissed off, like somebody threw a handful of marbles in the gears, and I'm looking to kill somebody.
Yeah, it's tough. Because you have so much your expectations. You know where you want to be, and when
Yeah, I think, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like I know where I want to be and why we're not there. It's just not the part that I'm understanding.
yeah,
And I have high expectations for myself and for my team. Like, I don't like to fail the first time around. I don't like to fail the second time around.
yeah,
But, sometimes failures measured in my eyes is different than your eyes. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. And I think everybody's gonna make mistakes. Everybody's going to fall down at some point, and it's our responsibility. It's my responsibility to pick them up and to motivate them in a way where they feel that they can be successful.
sure. I have a different process. I like to drag them down and put them through the mud and then keep their head above water, rinse them off, and then put them back through the mud and then bring them back just so they feel alive.
You hold them underwater for
Yeah, you gotta get them to the brink of
10
death.
seconds longer than they should be underwater.
It's like, how many times have you had like a rude customer in your restaurant or your place, and they're just like, I don't want any bad things to happen. Like, I don't want you to die.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind you choking until like 10 seconds of death, but then coming back. No, I can't say that. I've known plenty of people like that. You're just a fucking liar if you don't agree with me. No, I do.
That's terrible.
I push my guys hard, man, but they know it, and I do it out of love and passion. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
not like I'm doing it just to be a dick. I do it because, like, I want them to all become bigger and better cooks. Maybe I don't want them to do it my way, but it's like, this is all I know. And I don't ever try to explain anything different than that. You know what I mean? This is how I grew up in it. This is how I'm going to be. It's like, I can't read a book to be a better person tomorrow.
Well,
it takes practice.
I'll tell you, man, I grew up in tough kitchens, man. We got beat up a lot, and it was one of those examples of, okay, I'm okay with the tough love, but I'm not gonna, at some point you got to be like, okay, this is just not productive, because you're more successful as a chef when you have team members that are there for a while.
Yeah.
And you have less turnover, because then you're retraining. So it's such a balance of discipline and love that you have to give them.
And I think for me, it's like, you're right on that. Consistency is key. When you have the members that have been there for, a year, even 6 months, it makes a huge difference. It's like, take for instance, like Nosh. I've been there since December just training new people. Start off as one team member, but then we like to promote from within.
Absolutely.
So then we move that person over to here, and then you move the other person over there, and then it takes training for every time the whole team shifts to give opportunity. So one person translates to 4 people by the end of it.
Yeah.
And that's the tough part, is that that you're giving 4 months to basically for one person to be able to move up and to do something different. And they don't see it that way. They're like, oh, good, I get to do this. It's like, well, cool, but now we got to walk through every other station that went up to fix it. You know what I mean? And that's like the hard part.
Do you know what you just signed yourself up for?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, shit, here it is. What is it, August? I'm like, oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that was a quick 7 months. I didn't even see that coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But pretty cool, man. I mean, the menu planning and the availability to express ourselves is tough sometimes. But, we make it through it, and we do it with a good cause. The charities, the people, our employees. Like, we do whatever we can. And I think that's the biggest thing to take from it. No matter how hard my week was last week or how busy your week was last week, in the end, we're still supporting charity. We're still supporting our people. And we're trying to just do bigger things. And this is all through food.
Through food,
Just through food.
Yeah.
It's like something that everyone requires to live. We're doing and building passion and empowering people just through food.
Exactly.
And I think that's like a huge thing to take away from it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And creating memories, too.
Yeah. Yep. Bringing up old memories and recreating new ones, right?
Hopefully bringing positive old memories back.
Well, don't ask my crew about last week's memories, but whatever. I love all you guys out there. But all right, well, thanks again for joining this week, and we had a great time, and look forward to the next one. Take care, guys.